Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. Was it hot enough for you last night? About 3:30 this morning, one of my dogs was panting so hard I actually thought he was about to expire. So I took him out into the garden, and there we sat, him in his fur and me in my boxers. And for about 30 minutes yesterday, I was finally cool. And then I went back to bed. Now, one of our films today is actually quite long, and I also need to find time to give away this. What is this, I hear you ask? It is a very fine case keyring, complete with presentation box. That's up for grabs. Should I tell you how to win it? I think I should. This is how you do it. Those of you that are here on a regular basis already know the score. You just go to the chat and you type the word case, C-A-S-E, and you will be put into the draw. The draw? I have no idea what that was about. You'll be put into the draw to win that keyring. Entries coming through already. I'm going to say a few quick good mornings. I've done a few automated ones. I'm going to say good morning to Dan Cullen, to Andrew Dalvell, and to Chris Ford as well, all of whom have arrived, and to Gary Muirhead, and there was a few others as well. Who else was there? I think I've probably caught up. Right, people. And Rick Eyre is here as well. Good morning, Rick. Thank you very much indeed for being here, and thank you for entering. And Mick Norton has just joined us. I'm going to stop saying all of this. I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Yeah, I was going to say a very quick good morning to Richard Cross. Morning, Richard, and to who else did I say go across the screen there? Yeah, to Graham Footy Williams and to Andy Dyson. Good morning to you, one and all. It is Thursday, the 7th of September. Welcome to the stately pleasure dome that is the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Liebherr's Big Red goes to work. Caterpillar puts Fleet Vision in the palm of your hand. Kobelco unveils a pair of new excavators. And Europe has a new supermine. Where do you think it is? Plus, as I've already said, there is a case keyring up for grabs. Let me bring it a bit closer to the camera so you can see what it looks like. There you go. It is that well-known case eagle that is up for grabs. And we'll be drawing that at the end of the show. We will get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's quickly peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day in history. On this day in 1888, Edith Eleanor McLean became the first baby ever to be placed in an incubator. Who knew? In 1936, the Boulder Dam began operation. Boulder Dam? Yep, that's the one that is now known as the Hoover Dam, after the president, not the vacuum cleaner. In 1940, the German Luftwaffe began bombing London for the first of 57 consecutive nights in what is now known as the Blitz. In 1986, Desmond Tutu became Archbishop of Cape Town. In 1996, rapper Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas. He would die from his injuries 6 days later. And in 2019, The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, premiered at the Venice Film Festival. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me very quickly remind you of our question of the day. Yeah, if you had the chance to change your first name, what would you change it to and why? Now, being called Mark Antony is both a blessing and a curse. The Roman jokes wore thin roughly 45 years ago, but on the flip side, people do tend to remember my name, even if a lot of them think it's some kind of pseudonym. However, if I had to change Mark, I have two possible alternatives. I've never met a Terry that I didn't like. I realise it's a weird thing to say. I've never met a Terry that I didn't like, and I've never met a Dutchman that I didn't like. That's a whole other story. And I've always quite fancied myself as a Lenny. Lenny, what about you? What would you change your name to? I'm going to say a very quick good morning to our mate Glenn Johnston, who is in the house as well, and our friend, well, a couple of friends actually. Stephen Guthrie's here as well, and our mate Leslie is here as well. Ken Hatcher is here as well. Let's have a look. Where is he? Yes, here. I'm sure he said good morning. Yes, there he is. Good morning to you, Ken, as well. So yes, let me know, what would you change your first name to and why? Now this. Being asked to choose the best machine on display at Bauma 2022 is a bit like being asked to choose your favourite child. Impossible task. But if I was asked to choose my favourite machine at Bauma last year, frankly, that's a bit easier. It was, far and away, the Liebherr 980 Demolition excavator. Resplendent in red, it towered over the show's biggest stand and drew praise from pretty much everyone that saw it. Well, now, Big Red has gone to work. Yeah, looks even more impressive on site than it did at the show. Hats off to Liebherr for creating such an imposing machine, and congratulations to the customer, the name of which I've completely forgotten, but congratulations to them for their purchase. What a fantastic choice. I'd love to get to see that in the flesh, as would a few other people, I think. I know, let's have a look. Andy Delvell says, yeah, that's a beast of a machine. Proper demo tool. Totally agreed. Dan Cullen says, wow, that's cool. I agree with that too. Leslie says, some tool. Yeah, I totally agree. And Andy Dyson, who should know a thing about demolition, or a thing or two about demolition, as he works for Erith. Great machine. Yeah, totally agree. Graham Footy Williams wants to take it for a spin. Glenn Johnston says that's a beast. That's a machine of beauty. Love the colour. Yeah, I have to say, I have a real thing about machine colours, and to my mind, Liebherr should always be white. Apart from that one just looks absolutely incredible. And Rick Eyre says, you won't beat a Liebherr. You'd have to go a long way to do it. And Chris Ford, fair piece of kit that. Yeah, totally agree. Now, where were we? I think we need one of these, don't we? I do have a longer video coming up in just a second, in addition to which there's someone I'd like you to meet as well. So I'm going to keep this bit brief. You've all heard of Caterpillar's Vision Link system, right? Yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure we featured it here several times on the show. Well, now there's an app for it.
The VisionLink mobile app is the ultimate solution for easy, on-the-go equipment management. With just a few taps, you can access your equipment data from the palm of your hand. Whether you're a fleet manager in the office or a technician in the field, the VisionLink mobile app makes your job easier. Harness the power of VisionLink from your mobile device by scanning a machine's QR code to access equipment data. Launch an inspection with CAT Inspect, request service from the local CAT dealer, and purchase parts through seamless integration with parts.cat.com and CAT Central, all from the job site. Stay on top of planned maintenance tracking, including completing planned maintenance and adding backlog PM items, all from within the app. You can also order parts and easily evaluate job site performance and efficiency. The VisionLink app allows you to easily understand and access a machine's working versus idle time, health, service history, and fuel usage, allowing you to make informed decisions on the go. Using an asset's geo-coordinates and your phone's location, you can navigate directly to the equipment you need and cut down on travel and labor costs, or share the asset location with others. The VisionLink app makes managing your assets easier than ever. Download it today for iOS or Android and experience the convenience of equipment management at your fingertips.
Yeah, I agree with Dan Cullen. That really is a great app. But I do wish there was a guest membership option on these apps. We get told about lots and lots of apps for fleet management, but also for choosing equipment and that kind of thing. But all of them seem to be behind some kind of electronic firewall. You have to actually own a machine in order to use them. I'd love to test and feature some of those on the show here, but they all seem to be behind a firewall, which is an absolute bloody nuisance. Now, I did promise you there's a bigger film coming up. And it's coming up right after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
I was going to say a very quick good morning to our friend Paul Clark, who has just joined the show and has also just pushed the entries for the keyring, which is there, to 12. You have a 1 in 12 chance of winning that, complete with the presentation box. If you haven't done so already, please type case into the chat, which I think somebody else has just done. Yeah, Glenn Johnston has just joined the fun and games, so it's now a 1 in 13 chance. Keep typing, people. CASE in the chat for your chance to win. Now, you may have heard of polyhalite. It's used as a fertilizer and it can be mined from the ground. But there's only one country in the world that is actually mining it. And they're doing so from Europe's deepest mine. So where is this European supermine? Germany? Spain? France? Nope. It is right beneath our feet here in the UK.
The United Kingdom's natural resources reserves got a recent serious boost that is bound to help it cope with a serious problem. That problem is its depleting natural resources of value, such as gas and oil, among others, and not to mention its weakening exports. The new resource, which will add as much as $130 billion to the country's economy over the next 50 years, is technically unknown to most Britons. And more interestingly, the giant mine being built to extract the mineral is almost invisible. In fact, even if you drove right by it, you still won't see the mega mine's ground facilities because they have been designed to be almost entirely 50 meters or more below ground. From one look at the mine, and all you will see are large farming barns. What is this mystery resource? Why is it so valuable? And what are the technologies used to build what is considered Europe's deepest mine? The mystery resource is polyhalite, which, to be frank, is something that we never heard of before, and interestingly, the only country in the world that has found colossal amounts of it is the UK. In fact, the UK is the only country mining polyhalite. In simple words, it is a fertilizer that does not need to be chemically treated after mining, and is perhaps one of the very few known solutions for the world's high-value crop nutrition problems. It is of such great quality, using it can give the farmers the ability to advertise their crops as organic. You are probably thinking, is it potash? The answer is no, despite the similarities. Polyhalite is a naturally occurring mineral that contains potassium, sulfur, magnesium, and calcium, plus numerous micronutrients. It is an extremely ideal natural fertilizer. The company Anglo-American, which is constructing the mine, simply crushes and granulates polyhalite to produce their brand name fertilizer, Poly 4, which is also low carbon. In a nutshell, Poly 4 is the opposite of the, generally speaking, harmful traditional chemical fertilizers and costs the same, and is also known for its additional benefits for the soil itself. The mine is located near Whitby in North Yorkshire, England. It is called the Woodsmith Mine, after the two geologists who discovered it. Initially, the project was owned by York Potash Ltd, which later became a subsidiary of Sirius Minerals. However, this company's financial trouble eventually led the mine to become owned by the firm Anglo-American in 2020. The polyhalite deposit is located between 1,500 and 1,600 meters deep. The seam is about 70 meters thick and covers an area about 62,000 acres. Believe it or not, this layer of polyhalite was formed nearly 260 million years ago after a sea that was covering the area retreated. In 2027, the mine will begin exporting millions of tons per year to countries around the world. The amount is predicted to grow to as much as 20 million tons per year by 2030. This mine is actually located in North York Moors National Park, which means nature preservation and even the landscape view could not be interrupted. So, the Woodsmith mine is literally invisible, and more intriguingly, the mineral is transported to the materials handling facility in Wilton, which is part of the Teesside area around the River Tees, about 37 kilometers away via a tunnel that is 360 meters below ground and features a conveyor belt, dubbed the longest in the world. From there, the ready product is once again transported on a conveyor belt inside a pipe to the Tees port, which connects northeast England to the rest of the world. The mine's ground facilities are nothing but cute-looking large farm barns surrounded by a forest in the middle of a gorgeous park. There will be no trucks coming and going, no concrete slabs or structures, no tall steel skeleton towers, no massive warehouses. In fact, you won't even see the hoists or winders. Let's now tackle the construction and engineering marvels used to build this impressive, super sustainable, one-of-a-kind mine. Let's start with the service shaft. It is designed to give the workers access to the mine's pit nearly 1,600 meters below the ground. To keep it hidden, it is enclosed in a massive barn. Inside, a 60 meters deep and 30 meters wide shaft was established using a method called diaphragm. The walls of this shaft are lined with steel-reinforced concrete walls. This shaft hosts a 45-meter tall winding tower for lowering and lifting workers, materials, and equipment, but not the mineral, which will be lifted via a second similar shaft located in a second adjacent similar building. From there, a 1,600 meters deep shaft was sunk using a shaft boring road header, which is a technology that was developed from the mechanized sinking of shafts. The machine's cutting head rotates in a star pattern, digging about 20 centimeters with every pass, which means it is quite effective and fast. As the shaft goes deeper, its walls are lined with either steel or reinforced concrete, depending on the type of geology. Once completed, the winder or hoist above will be used to lower and lift a multi-deck elevator or cage for moving personnel and equipment to the mine's pit. This shaft is also connected via a tunnel at a depth of 360 meters to the mineral extraction shaft and the 37-kilometer-long mineral transport tunnel. The same thing was done to construct the mineral extraction shaft nearby in another massive barn. However, the type of winder is different since it is designed to lift the extracted mineral from 1,600 meters deep to the mineral transport tunnel. The mineral seam will be mined via a combination of blasting, cutting, and drilling. Then the mineral will be moved to the extraction shaft on a flexible conveyor belt where it is lifted to the mineral transport system, which is a unique machine that automatically empties the hoisted mineral into the conveyor belt inside the transport tunnel, where it is transported to the Milton Materials Handling Facility in Teesside near Teesport. As a result of extraction, eventually, the mine's pit will become a colossal network of mine roads spanning an area of nearly 2,500 square kilometers. As we said before, the mineral transport system consists of a 37-kilometer-long concrete-lined tunnel containing a conveyor belt, which transports the polyhalite ore from Woodsmith Mine to the Milton Mineral Handling Facility. This tunnel is the longest in England and quite deep below ground. It is about 5 meters in diameter with 20 centimeters thick concrete walls. It alone is estimated to cost $3.6 billion. The first tunnel boring machine, or TBM, commenced operations in 2019. In total, 3 TBMs were used to excavate the tunnel. Each TBM weighs 2,000 tons and progresses at an average rate of 20 meters per day. The TBM that commenced work from the Woodsmith mine was lowered via a specialty construction shaft to 360 meters below the ground to begin operations. Each TBM is 205 meters long and consists of several sections behind the drilling head. For example, a section is dedicated to perimeter jacks that press on walls to give the machine grip as it drills while moving forward. Another section hosts a platform on rails called lagging equipment or buck-up, where other pieces of work equipment are located, such as fans, transformers, and a belt to remove the material being excavated. Every few meters, the machine pauses as prefabricated concrete segments called voussoirs, which are made in a concrete factory on the surface, arrive and are fed into the machine, which installs them and thus creates a solid concrete-lined tunnel. Once completed, the tunnel will feed the Wilton Materials Handling Facility with the mined polyhalite mineral via a conveyor system. The Wilton facility does not involve the use of chemicals to process the polyhalite ore because, as we mentioned earlier, this magical material only needs to be crushed and granulated to become the Poly4 product, which is a final ready for use. Another reason for this is the mineral's 88% purity level. From there, the final product is transported via a conveyor belt inside a 44-kilometer pipe to the T-Sport for storage at the Redcar Bulk Terminal, which will feed bulk transport ships. A project's purpose-built port called Bransands that can accept large bulk cargo ships is also being constructed to meet the expected high demand. Thank you for watching, and please share, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments section.
It's quite the project, isn't it? Excuse me. I think it was Gary Muirhead actually said more or less what I was thinking when I found that. You just can't get your head around that stuff. 37-kilometer conveyor belts, just unbelievable stuff. Dan Cullen says, question is, after this runs out, what happens to the tunnel? Yeah, lots to discuss there. Andy Dalvell says, Batman would be all over this underground setup. It's crazy big, and how much money? Yeah. Investing billions to make hundreds of billions. It really is quite the undertaking. One thing that did strike me about all of that, though, we make all this fuss about the end of coal mining and tin mining and what have you, and about fracking, and yet that supermine seems to have slipped largely below the radar. Now, there is someone I'd like you to meet, but first I need to tell you that we will be drawing the winner of today's prize draw shortly. You have approximately 3 minutes to type the word case into the chat for your chance to win that keyring that comes in that presentation box. 3 minutes, type the word case into the chat. Where are we at the moment? We're up to 14 entries, so a 1 in 14 chance to win. Type the word case in to the chat right now. Before I do the introductions, this.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news/extras.
Now, those of you that were here, I don't know, this time last year, do you remember Reg, our roving robot reporter? Well, as you recall, he was extremely troublesome and somewhat bad-tempered. He was also our first foray into the field of artificial intelligence. Well, as you may recall, we packed Reg off to the scrapyard some months ago, and he is now mainly a toaster. But we've persevered with all things AI. And as you're about to see, compare this to Reg, really has come quite a long way.
Kobelco Construction Machinery Europe has announced the addition of 2 new models to its extensive short-radius excavator range. The new SK230, SRLC-7 and SK270, SRNLC-7 are equipped with a powerful Yanmar Stage 5 compliant engine that provides 127 kilowatts of power. Weighing in at 24 and 27 tons respectively, the new machines provide precise operation through excellent controllability and smooth hydraulics. Longer undercarriages are said to ensure excellent stability, even when lifting heavy loads. The SK270's combination of high hydraulic pressure and balanced chassis layout delivers exceptional lifting capacity, making it ideal for heavier tools and attachments. Meanwhile, the SK230 arm and bucket cylinder have been reinforced, providing more digging power and durability. The plate thickness of the arm has been increased by 25%, while the bucket cylinder has been reinforced by enlarging the flange and increasing the rod side pin diameter from 80 to 85 millimeters. Both machines are operated from an enhanced cabin that features a Kobelco branded Grammar air suspension seat. The cabin is also equipped with a DAB+ radio, Bluetooth and hands-free telephone. To improve visibility on the job site, particularly when operating during the darker winter months, the new units have also been equipped with 2 bright LED work lights. For more information, please visit www.kobelco-europe.com.
Right, first of all, I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Tristan Mays, who is just back from Ireland. I hope you've got air conditioning in that studio. Just landed back at Stansted. Welcome back to the motherland. Ken Hatcher says, is she a robot? Kind of. Artificial intelligence, wondering if you get the village idiot as well as an option. Listen, you're looking at him. That's a lovely AI lady. Paul Clark says, Kobelco, great machine. So, I won't bore you with the fact that there are actually 4 different sets of AI at work there, all with the fact that because that character doesn't actually exist, that's not a real person in any way, shape, or form. I've got no way of actually changing her outfit, so you'll have to forgive her that. As you see, you're going to see in the days ahead, I'm going to be sticking with her for a little while, but while I'm sort of ironing out the rough edges, which is why I need your help. We obviously had Reg, our roving robot reporter, who has now been pensioned off and sent off for scrap. Then we had, you might recall, we had temporarily Ada, artificial intelligence digital avatar, for a while, which was okay. But our new news anchor, I think he's probably the slickest that we've come up with so far, but she doesn't yet have a name. So what should we call her? I need a name and a surname because I'm going to give her a lower third thing that appears under her image. So yes, I'd like you to come up with a suitable name, first name and surname for our new AI newsreader. Now, while you're thinking about that, it is time to find out who has won the case keyring. Let me get this up on screen. It is that one there. Let's make sure, yeah, we're looking at the right thing. So, yes, we're up to 15 entries on that. So let me draw the prize and see who has walked away today with the case keyring. And I'm laughing for good reason. You might recall last week that we were giving away Komatsu hats, and our friend Dave Paget down at Kent Demolition was entering day after day after day, didn't win one. So because he's a mate and I like him and his family a lot, I sent him one. He sent me a message this morning to say, did you send me a Komatsu hat by mistake? I said, well, I sent you a Kent Demolition hat, but it wasn't by mistake. And then lo and behold, fast forward roughly a week, and now he's won the prize. Dave, I've got your address. I know exactly where you are because I've already sent you a hat. This will be going in the post for you today. You can have that with our very best wishes. And congratulations. Gary Muirhead says, well done, Kent Demolition. Totally agree. I've just seen a response from Jim Turner, which I think may actually call off everything right now. Again, teasing me. That was close, says Dan Cullen, and well done, Dave, says Andy Darvell. So I was asking for a name for our new AI newsreader. Jim Turner, can rely on you always. She has a name, and it is this. Demolition. Demolition. Why didn't I think of that? Demolition. Oh, it works on so many levels. The very fact that I, for quite some years, had quite a soft spot for Demi Moore. So now we've got Demolition. Thank you very much indeed for that, Jim. That's kind of made my day. And there's Dan Cullen saying, when I can press the right button, saying, well done to Kent Demolition. Yeah, quite right. Now, I haven't had a gripe of the day for a little while. About time I did, I think. This one is not just a gripe. This is multiple gripes in one. So yesterday, immediately after the show, myself and the long-suffering Mrs. Demolition News jumped in the car and drove over to see my daughter and our 3 grandsons. Somewhere along the way, my wife had agreed that she was going to stay overnight to enjoy a bit of the sunshine with the boys. Ever prepared, however, she had been to the shop and bought me some frozen Chinese food for me to whack in the microwave when I got hungry last night. So it got to about 7:30 and I'd finished messing about with AI for the evening. So I went out to the kitchen, dug out my sweet and sour chicken and my egg fried rice. I then had to return to the front room to fetch my reading glasses because the cooking instructions were tiny. 3.5 minutes at 800 watts, it said on the rice. Cool, I can deal with that. Then I looked at the sweet and sour chicken. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. And it said, do not cook from frozen. Now, I realise this is not a major catastrophe. It's very much a first world problem. In actual fact, it worked out in perfectly well for me in the end because I ordered some proper Chinese food from our local takeaway instead. But here's the thing. First thing, why are cooking instructions on food so small? Do food manufacturers assume that we're all blessed with 20/20 vision and that old people don't cook? Don't know. Why the hell would you sell 2 items together as a package when you can cook one right now and you have to wait 8 hours for the other? And here's my biggest gripe of all. Why does my wife announce that she's staying away for the night when it's too late for me to sneak off fishing? I think I've just answered my own question. Anyway, that's my gripe of the day. Love to hear yours. What is it that grinds your gears, gets your goat, and generally butters your parsnips? The daily gripe therapy session will return probably tomorrow, I would guess. That pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like, as I always do, over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Script just went mental. If you can't stick around, as I say, please stay safe. If you do have the time and the inclination, though, please stick around. The crack will begin immediately after this final word from our key show sponsor. Seems to be some sort of glitch on my computer screen this morning. It just seems to be hopping about the place for some reason. Good morning, everyone. How are we? How many cameras did you go past? No. Can't figure that one out. Right, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chat. And first off the mark this morning was Chris Ford, who apparently has wet the bed. Not literally, just figuratively, because he was the first off the mark this morning. I don't know. Gary Muirhead is here as well. Today's question was not from Mr. Muirhead. Just by way of a change, that was one of mine. We've had virtually no response. Maybe that tells you all you need to know. But yes, what would you like to be called if you didn't have your current first name? What would you like to be called? I'm going for Lenny or Terry. Quite old-fashioned in that respect. Mark Whiting joined us as well. Morning, Mark. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Our friend Graham Footy Williams is here. Andrew Darvell, or Andy Darvell is here as well. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for entering the competition. Better luck next time. Rick Eyre is here as well. Morning, Rick. I don't know quite what it is. Whenever we do these giveaway competitions, we seem to drag in new people, and I wonder if it's actually when I do the the thumbnail and the preview of the show. I wonder if it's the individual companies that we mention, because if I mention Kobelco, we get a bunch of people turn up to try and win the Kobelco prize. We mentioned Kinsoffer, there's a different bunch. Today we've mentioned Case, and we've had a different bunch again. Do people just sort of sit in the background and wait for the right manufacturer to be giving something away? Maybe they do. I don't know. Mick Norton is here as well. Mick, good morning. I'm about 3/4 of the way writing my weekly column for next week, which is largely on the CLC's response to the RARC debacle. You might enjoy that, Mick, when it comes out. There is our friend Rick again. Mick entered the competition, as did Richard Cross, another not a newcomer, but don't see him here very often. I'm glad to see he was here today. As I say, question of the day: if you could change your first name, what would you change it to? Graham Williams says, thank you. All my keys and my diggers wouldn't fit on that, so let someone else have it. Well, someone else has got it. Although I'm fairly sure Dave Padgett has probably got a few keys of his own. What was running a demolition company and a equipment sales company and a hydraulics company as well. If you're not aware of Kent Demolition, go and check them out. They're doing some fantastic stuff down there, just up the road from me as well. There is Ken Hatcher saying, good morning. I think he's got a lot of sun, and it's made him either quite red or quite angry. Possibly both. Not entirely sure. Now, I was unaware of the supermine. Ken Hatcher was not. Supermine, North Yorkshire, don't remind me about it, he says, with an angry face. Lots of angry faces. And I wonder if money has changed hands here. I wonder if he had bought shares in something along the way. We'll come back to that in a second. Stephen Guthrie, who is still on the road to recovery, is here as well. Good morning, lads. A lovely day. It most certainly is a lovely day. Just wish it was a little bit cooler. I have to control the light and the sound in this room. So there's a window just behind there. But I've got the blinds down so that the light actually keeps the light fairly consistent. And I've got the window closed so that the blind doesn't rattle about and make a sound, which means that I am sweating like a dead donkey right about now. It's not that comfortable. Chris Ford says if he wasn't called Chris, he would be called Driver. I get called that a lot, along with some other things. Yeah, I'm not going to dwell on the other things you get called. I get called a few things as well. Not all of them polite. In fact, let me think. None of them are polite and for polite company. Question of the day. Ken Hatcher reckons he would change his name to Mark. Mark Hatcher. Yeah, you sound like an international man of mystery all of a sudden, Ken. Mark Hatcher. Spy. International playboy. Andy Darvell, that's a beast of a machine. Yeah, we're going back to Big Red. I've named it that. It's not called that. I'm bearing in mind it's now at work in France. What would it be? Grand Rouge, possibly? Rouge Grand? I don't know. I don't speak French. Barely speak English, as you can probably tell. But yeah, I've named it Big Red. But yeah, as I say, I spent a couple of days at Balmer with the fine folks at Liebherr, and you couldn't get me away from that machine. They were trying to tell me about dozers and excavators and wheel loaders and cranes and stuff. Once I'd seen that was me. I was hooked. And now to actually see it go out to work, awesome. Very, very envious of whoever got to film that. Liebherr, if you're watching, I'd love to go and see that in action. Yeah, lots of people enjoying the Liebherr. The Grand Rouge, I think we're going with now. Dan Cullen says, that's cool. Leslie says, sub-tool. Andy Dyson from Era says, great machine. What an awesome bit of kit. Can I have a go, says Graham Williams. Glenn Johnston, good morning, Glenn, says that's a beast. That's a really popular machine, this one. That's a machine of beauty. Love the colour. Fair piece of kit, that. And Andy Darvell says, yeah, good bit of music. Epic music to go along with an epic machine. Totally agree. The music can make it, but just going back to the livery thing, because I know I think Gary Muirhead's got something to say in just a second. It's a bit like the Ferrari thing and the Lamborghini thing. Lamborghinis should be yellow. Ferraris should be red. Liebherr excavators should be white. But I'm making an exception for that one because that looked Amazing. Gary Muirhead, there we are, says black seems to be the new colour, the new in colour rather, for brand new equipment. Don't mind a bit of black. As I say, one of the best looking high reach machines in the UK. I'm fairly sure they're still running it. Is a black, fairly sure it's a Hitachi under the skin, but there's a black high reach run by CDC, Clark Demolition Company, up in East Anglia way, sort of Ipswich-ish. Fantastic looking machine. Absolutely cool, absolute corker it is. Now, question of the day. We already know that Mark Hatcher is going to be an international man of mystery. Gary Muirhead says, William, after our very own Scottish legend, William Wallace. It's a good choice. See, I could have gone Bobby, as in Bobby Moore, but Bobby Anthony just sounds like a bit of a mouthful. Whereas Lenny, I realise Lenny Anthony is a bit of a mouthful as well, but Len, you're right, Len? Yeah, I'm all right. See, just rolls off the tongue. Don't know what my parents would think. Bearing in mind, my dad was Mark, and his dad was Mark. Yeah, Lenny. Maybe. No, we've done that one. That's a great app, yeah. The Vision Link, putting the power of Cat Vision Link in the palm of your hand. There's our mate Paul Clark. Morning, Paul. Good to see you here over from LinkedIn land. Sorry you didn't win the competition this time. Lots of other people missed out as well. Now, I did ask the question, where is this supermine? Our friend Jim Turner, who is fairly close to it, not that close, but fairly close to it, said, Yorkshire? Yes. Now, Ken Hatcher then said, don't speak to me about that that mine. Angry face, serious minerals, then lots more angry faces. I told you he was hangry. Hangry? Yeah, I told you he was angry. Serious minerals ripped off all their shareholders big time, he says, with lots more angry faces as well. Chris Ford read an article on that just a couple of weeks ago. I've got to admit, I'd never heard of the material, polyhalite. I'd never heard of the mine. Had no idea it was going on whatsoever, and I realised mining is not really my thing. But you would, as I said, you know, with all the furore that goes on with the closure of fossil fuel mines, you know, coal mines, and all the fuss that goes into the construction of offshore wind turbines and now onshore wind turbines and fracking and all of that, you would have thought it would have made the news headlines and come across my radar. It did not. Jim Turner says, I think Collins Earthworks might have been working on the setup. May well have done. Collins Earthworks, fantastic company, one to watch, I would say. Wow, that is deep, and some length of conveyor belt. Yeah, can you imagine the negotiations that goes into that? We're looking for a conveyor belt. Yeah, absolutely, we can help you with that. How long would you like it to be? Oh, about 28 miles. Righto. Ken Hatcher, still angry, and maybe overreacting slightly. Hope it floods, he says. Dan Cullen, that's a very interesting concept. You just can't get your head around this stuff. Now, I'm glad Gary said that. You recall at the beginning of the week, I think it was the beginning of this week, where I showed you those XCMG mining trucks running on methanol. And there was lots of trucks in one mine, lots and lots of trucks buzzing about the place, all in green, and they were lots of them. And I estimated that there was 50 or possibly 60 of those trucks working in a single mine, which would make it a pretty big mine and a pretty impressive thing entirely. I checked. It wasn't 60, it was 600. 600 mining trucks in a single mine. So, as Gary Muirhead has just said, you just can't get your head around this stuff. I've been to mines, you know, in the past, and I've seen a dozen, 15 trucks, enormous mine, 15 trucks, 600. Ken Hatcher, going back to the super mine up in Yorkshire, massive job mine. I used to be very interested, apparently less so now. Interesting project, says Glenn Johnston. Ken Hatcher reckons the tunnel must be completed by now. I don't know. Obviously, I've borrowed that video, so I'm not entirely sure of what the latest update is. Dan Cullen, yeah, I have to admit, I'm not a huge. I don't have any of these like claustrophobia or vertigo or any of those things, but I've been down. I've actually been down 2 mines in my or underground mines. Didn't like it much. The one that I went down in a lift down a vertical shaft, it seemed to go on forever. That was unpleasant. The easier one, I went to one in Norway where you actually walked into the mouth of the mine and then walk the length of the tunnel to see the minerals being extracted. That wasn't so bad, but going down in that vertical shaft, not my idea of a fun day out there. The question is, after this runs out, what happens to the tunnel? I don't know, storing nuclear waste or something like that, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. We don't generally think that far ahead, do we? We just rape the earth for all its natural resources and then worry about the consequences afterwards. Andy, well, there you are. Andy has just answered the question. What would we do with that tunnel afterwards? We'll hand it to Batman and let him have that as his UK lair. All of North Yorkshire on board. They got all of North Yorkshire on board, got the planning permission, then pushed them away. How often do you see that happening? Yes, where is Reg? So, just to very quickly tell you, the reason for the creation of Reg in the first place was I couldn't make the reading of press releases about new machines interesting. It was me, and it was a photograph, or sometimes two photographs, and it was dull. So I decided what we needed was a character. So we found some footage of a little robot character that we named Reg. And I tried to give him a personality, which was fairly difficult, given that it was the same footage every time, but also given the limitations at that time of text-to-speech software. So it was always going to be quite temporary, but we've been playing around with AI. I use AI quite a lot now. And as I say, we did Ada a little while ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, which you might remember was an attractive black female. I could call her what I like. She didn't exist. She wasn't real. She was just an avatar. That was okay. But with this one, I've literally gone to a system called Adobe Firefly and created a completely fictitious person. That lady does not exist. She is not based on anyone. She does not exist. I've then taken that, used another AI to take out the background and put her into a new studio. I've used another AI to turn my script into her voice. And then I've used another one to marry the two together and punch it out the other end. So we now have an attractive... Again, I can say what I like because she's not real. I'm not going to upset her. I'm not going to offend her in any way because she's not real. So I now have an additional newsreader. So yesterday, for some reason, I don't know quite why it was, we had press releases from, let me think, Kobelco, Demolition, somebody else, but also from Hilti. And rather than me sitting here reading, it digs this deep and it's got this size bucket, I thought, no, sod it, we'll throw it over to our AI. So I've done 3 or 4 back-to-back videos, all featuring our new lady, who we now know is called Demolition. Thank you for that, Jim. It's a masterstroke. There is the winning entry to our competition. That will be going in the post in just a moment. I have a hankering for a bacon roll. There's a bacon roll right next door to the post office. So as soon as this show is over, I'm off to do those 2 things. There is Ken Hatcher. Is she a robot? No, she is just an AI. She doesn't exist. And I wish one of these days, maybe I'll do it as part of a Saturday social or something. I will actually show you some of this stuff behind the scenes. Let me just see if I can bring one up. Bear with me for 1 second, just while I... So, one of the iterations that I came up with, I'm not trying to make any great secret about the fact that we're using AI. In fact, I want people to know that we're using AI because I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. So my first iteration of a Demi, I basically said, let's come up with an AI that looks just like an AI, that looks like some form of artificial intelligence. And Adobe Firefly provided me with this. I mean, look at the detail on that. And that is a super high res 4K image. Should I so desire, I could get that to talk, in a manner of speaking. Just blows the mind. Absolutely blows the mind. And we'll be using more of that in the not too distant future. Now, there is Tristan Mays, who is feeling my pain. Morning, Mark. Hope you got air conditioning in that studio. Just landed back at Stansted. Yeah, it is getting very warm in here, I have to say. Now, going back to Kobelco. See, they went Yamaha engine. Hino was the problem with DPF, he says. Artificial intelligence. Wondering if you get the village idiot as well as an option. We do. I will check the voices. But I'm one of the programs I use. I have something like 300 voices, so I can not only can I have her speaking English, and I've gone for American English, but I can have I could get her to speak French. So long as I type the script in French, she'll speak in French, German, Italian, and so on down the line. That's a lovely AI lady. Yeah, I thought so, and I thought it hit the right note. I thought she was attractive without being sexy, because I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to break things up again a little bit. There is Paul Clark saying, great machine. I totally agree. Well done, Kent Demolition, says Gary Muirhead. There is the greatest answer of the day. Call her Demolition. I will. You'll be meeting her again very, very soon. Well done, Kent Demolition. Well done, Dave. Could I give her a French accent too? Not sure I can do a French accent. I can do French voice, but not French accent, as far as I know. Almost French. Not sure about that one. I have to concentrate on these quite hard, just as a quick reminder to those that aren't here as regularly as others. Graham Williams is very severely dyslexic, so he uses a voice to text platform to produce his answers. Cameras, did you get ULEZ? Did you get any fines landing on the mat yet? All them cameras we're getting down in London. No, I have had no fines. I am sat here. I am sat literally in the ULEZ area, in the ULEZ zone, but I have not had a fine. Because my car is a semi-hybrid and it's 18 months old, so we have no issues to contend with whatsoever. But yes, it is a concern. Question of the day. Seamus or Jim? Jim isn't my actual name. James is my proper name, but I hate it. Yeah, do you know, I mean, obviously, Jim, you and I have never met, but you are a Jim. As far as I'm concerned, you're a Jim. But Seamus. When I was about 4, I had a goldfish called Seamus. Where I got the name Seamus from, I have no idea. There's no Irish in my background at all. I decided my goldfish needed an Irish name. I went with Seamus. Dan Cullen, 25 degrees here now, and what is it? Not even 11 o'clock yet. Question of the day, I'd be called Crazy Mad Irishman, or I wouldn't mind Albert. Yeah, the two are so very similar. Albert Cullen. Can I tell you a very quick story before I round this thing up? My son-in-law, they're not married. He's not really my son-in-law. He is, by quite a long stretch, the most stupid person I've ever met. And when our eldest grandson was born, and our eldest grandson is called Ronnie, one of the names that had been proposed was Albert, which I didn't think was bad. He said... And now get this, we can't call him Albert because people will shorten it. And I was thinking, what, to Bert or to Bertie? No. He thinks that people will shorten Albert to Alb. Has anybody in the history of mankind ever been called Alb? I don't believe they have. Graham Williams out. I think there's a new supermine opening in Australia. They found some gold somewhere. Don't they always? Wish I had shares in that one. I'm back without discussing what was happening for the next few days, says Dan Cohen. Chris Ford. If I was as clever as you, I'd have got a tune to the song. Maybe I need AI. I've got to be honest with you, Chris. I actually took your song and I ran it through AI. It did not sound good. It sounded way better with you singing a cappella. Well done, Jim, for the name. Yeah, I totally agree. There we are. Being an AI lady, does she have the last word? I wish I'd thought of that, and then I would actually make that happen right now. I wish I had that at the press of a button, but yes, ultimately she probably will. Andy Dovell says, Fred or Jeff? Don't hear many of them now. Well, my son is Fred, and he sat next door, so I hear Fred quite a lot. Not so many Jeffs these days. Used to work with a guy called Jeff. He was a nice bloke. Have a great day, guys, says Dan Cohen, who is going off to swelter in the heat, I think. Chris Ford says, it didn't sound good to start with, but I bet there are still people humming it. Demolition news, demolition news. I played it again yesterday. It wasn't on the show, but I played it again yesterday. I'm still enjoying it. Don't you knock it. Right, people, go and cool off somewhere. Go and stay hydrated and be excellent to each other. Which came over all Bill and Ted there. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, that's an hour. Go, people. I'm going to go to the post office and to the cafe to get a bacon roll. That is on its way to Dave Paget down at Kent Demolition. I'm sure there's something else laying around here in the office that I can give away. In actual fact, I've just spotted we do actually have a Bobcat model lurking in the background. Who would like that? I have a funny feeling somebody would. So, yes, be here tomorrow. Be there or be square and possibly win yourself a Bobcat model. Till then, everybody, go and have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. All the best.